Welcome to the Game of Thrones podcast, the officially unofficial podcast for Game of Thrones on HBO. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And we're here. We just got done watching Season 8, Episode 1. I have no idea what this episode is called because apparently HBO didn't tell anybody.
It's called Arya.
Not their mothers. Like, it didn't leak.
Yeah, they didn't. They've been. I did a little bit of looking, and in the thread, the official, like the pre-thread on like the different Reddit sites, they had no title, and people like the top 50 threads are people praising HBO for like being ironclad with the spoilers. They don't even let the episode title, but I think it's called Arya and the Caravan of Emotions.
Okay. It could be.
Yeah.
Got that brand stare. Could be that.
Bran will ruin the mood of any room that he's in.
It could be John's mind is blown.
Yeah.
Because that was a really good scene. What do you think of the episode?
Man, I have this kind of like excitement but nervous. I feel like I'm watching a kid, my own child, do like a piano recital where it's like I'm really excited if everything goes well, but like for the whole time they're playing, I'm like, waiting for the bad note to come. So I guess, I think with that kind of high pressure, high wire expectation act, I think it did really good. I was a little worried, and I felt like there was a lot of throat clearing and a lot of like it felt like they were stalling before. But I think you also needed some time to reshift back in to the episode, and I also was delighted that they redid the credit sequence. Like, we were just about to start fast forwarding through it, and like, what? Wait, the fucking wall's falling.
That's a wooden ring. What the hell's happening here?
This isn't. And there's a whole other. The whole astrolabe was now, instead of showing the fall of the Targaryens, I think it's showing, what kicked off this latest round of, as I think
the rise of the Targaryens.
Yeah, I mean, I only got to see it the one time, but I think the second thing they showed was Ned being beheaded, and then the birth of the dragons with the bleeding star, and like I like that you're now seeing the 8 seasons being mythologized within the universe of the whole of the show, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I guess, I mean, it's a really good episode. It hit all the points it needed to. There's a few times where I felt like they were literally just ticking off check boxes that script needs to, like Theon must save his sister.
They really sped through that stuff too.
All the
Greyjoy, some cases.
All the Greyjoy like resolution, or I guess getting with them where they need that felt a little bit kind of, but on the whole, they nailed all the reunions they needed to nail. I guess so what did you think of the episode?
I mean, saying that they kind of blew through all that stuff isn't a bad thing for me, because I know we've only got 6 episodes this season.
Right.
It's going to be real short, and there's still a lot to do. So
right.
Like some of the more minor points, like they spend a lot of time on like Arya and Jon. They spend a lot of time on this reveal that Jon is a Targaryen,
right?
Or at least the reveal to him.
Yeah.
And they, kind of gloss over and just do a real quick sort of and Yara's alive. Oh, and Theon saves her. Oh, and like Euron comes back and he's got the gold company and he's gonna bang Cersei. And there was. I'm really up in the air on what I think about Cersei's pregnancy at this point because of that scene, and I don't know if this is something we need to talk about. I'll probably think about it more in the coming day or two, and Tuesday we'll talk about it in depth, but I'm really not certain if she's pregnant or not, because she gives that really weird look after Euron's like, I'm going to put a prince in your belly or whatever he says.
Right. I'll put a prince in your belly.
Yeah. So I don't know. It kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah, I on the whole, really enjoyed this episode.
And if I was going to say anything critical, like if you listen to our coverage from last year, the one things I guess I was afraid of is them making a real meal out of the whole, oh my God, Jon's a true king, what should he do, Dany's crazy, like all this like inter-struggle, which was kind of painful to watch, but not painful because it's poorly done, like when they're all meeting with the Northern Lords and they're grousing about Jon kneeling and not being the king anymore. But like, this system of government is very important to the people. Like this, like it seems silly from our perspective, and but it means something. Like if it didn't mean anything, then you wouldn't have all these fighting over who is the rightful heir and who does this and what family did that. So like in universe, it makes a lot of sense. I guess it sucks that Jon himself, the champion of this nut doesn't matter, seems like suddenly he's like, oh well, maybe this does matter.
I think the way in which it matters is the way that Sam puts it at the end. You know,
Yeah.
it's a question of what kind of leader Danny is.
Right.
And I think that's the most interesting way to frame this. I'm
Yeah.
so glad they went that way.
Yeah, and they did set this up last year where there was a lot of people, not last year, 2 years ago, where there was a lot of people saying that, you know, there are reasons to be nervous about Danny, and a lot of things that Danny did last season are coming home to roost now, like you could even see in Sam, like Sam's like, okay, yeah, you burnt my father, he is a real asshole, but you know, my brother, and then she's like, oh no, I he stood at your father too, and the fact that they were prisoners of war, like that was pretty extreme behavior. She was warned, and now she's paying a price. Like, so it all. So when I say I don't like it, it's more from like Aaron, the pragmatist, who wishes everyone would just join together, fight the thing that's the existential threat, and then sort it all at the end. Is annoyed, but that's again, it would probably be
That's almost too neat, right?
It would be
Like,
weird, and it would not be Game of Thrones if everybody is just like, oh yeah, let's just roll up our sleeves and get to work. And there are people doing that. Like I thought it was nice to see Gendry. Like he's like very focused on maximizing our obsidian sources and crafting that. And
speaking of which,
yeah.
I guess I didn't expect them to smith obsidian this way, the dragon glass this way.
Yeah, it's
to melt it down and shape it in molds and like.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna flake it off and do
right
it that way,
like you would with like typical rock.
Yeah,
type
I
carvings.
mean, it makes sense. Like obsidian is just volcanic glass, so I'm sure it would melt. I mean, I'm sure all this checks out.
I mean, anything melts at high enough temperature, right?
Yeah, it'd be funny though if it's like it's volcano magic that does it, and you know, they've ruined it. They've ruined all. You know, they're trying to make it better, and now they've ruined it. But
yeah,
it was cool, and I like that Gendry has something to do, and I thought, what'd you make of him and Arya's kind of reunion? It was a little. It was they're actually. I think they're going for a little. They're going for some light shipping.
You think so?
That was ship bait.
That was always the big question, wasn't it? Like whether or not like this was more of a brother sister thing or more of a might have eyes for this person.
Maybe it was
thing.
brother sister, but now they've been apart for a couple of years and they've both grown and look good, and you know.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Maybe they're going for that.
I don't know.
I just can't see Arya with anybody in the end.
Yeah, I mean or if she's with somebody, it's going to be a pretty unconventional type of relationship. Which I don't know, maybe Gendry, and I don't. I mean, like, I just that she's such a interesting character. Like, what would it be like to couple up with a ninja?
Someone that broke?
Yeah, like a blood magic fueled ninja assassin. That's her whole life has been about vengeance.
Would you rather couple up with Arya or Bran? At this point, that's the real question. I mean,
Arya's still recognizably human.
Fair.
Bran is like, it's the scene like when John's like, "Oh, you're a man now." What do you say? Like almost or not quite or?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, almost. Or not quite. I think would have been better because
he's something between.
He's grown, but it's inhuman. What he is. But I also liked that Bran is the one, the first one to be like, we don't have time for any of this bullshit.
Yeah.
So I like that quite a bit. I think that the things I was really expecting, the things I was really nervous for the show is all the different reunions I knew that Arya was going to have to make, and I was kind of blown away that they just put them all in this episode, like Jon and Sandor and Gendry, and I thought every one of them was almost pitch perfect. Like I was actually worried that Arya, she's so reserved and cold that she would actually be she'd almost mildly brand Jon, but there's still enough of the old Arya and their chemistry, and I just thought everything is like, you know, him admiring Needle and her admiring Longclaw, and him kind of being like, hey, I was kind of surprised you didn't help me with Sansa, and she's gonna be like, me and Sansa are tight. We killed Littlefinger together. We had our squabbles last year, brother. Now we're all smooth sailing. I thought they nailed all of those moments, and they were kind of tricky moments to nail because they weren't all the same thing. Like the Jon and Arya was very brotherly, sisterly. The Gendry Arya was a little bit more, and then the Hound was just, you're a cold bitch, but I guess that's why you're alive. And
sort of two peas in the pod in that way.
Are they cool? Like she was technically on his list, but yeah.
Like I don't know what this list means to her anymore. You know, it's something where I could definitely still see Cersei at the top of that list. But the Hound was definitely on it, and it doesn't seem like Arya's too, just really champing at the bit to go kill the Hound.
Right.
So
He's a good
we'll
fighter. I
see.
hope if she's going to kill him, it's going to be after the war.
Yeah.
I thought one of the meetings I guess I should have been thinking about this, but I didn't, was Sansa and Tyrion. As soon as the camera showed them meeting, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like a fucking big moment.
Yeah.
And I thought they handled that extremely well too.
Are they still technically married? The
If you don't consummate,
I know,
if you don't consummate
I
a
know.
marriage in this world, then I don't think it counts.
Okay.
But there was that tension and energy and
Yeah.
and all that.
They're bringing all that to
Yeah, and there's
the scene.
tons of people to ship Arya or Sansa and Tyrion too, and I don't know that. Well, I mean, I don't think anything could. I don't think any particular bucket of cold water would do that in just one scene. But
Well, I mean, this scene, she's essentially saying you're an idiot.
right.
Well, and I agree. Like Tyrion,
Yeah.
what are you thinking here?
yeah,
Like, you really think that your sister isn't above playing you simply because she has or does not have a child in her belly,
right.
as Euron would say?
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I do miss smart Tyrion. Like, now we're getting kind of dumb, easily taking advantage of Tyrion, and Tyrion that relies way too much on the you don't have testicles, Varys.
I felt like that was them getting some jokes in before
I hope
shit gets
so.
real.
There
this
was a
season.
couple. There was a couple of things where I thought they were talking right to the viewer.
Oh, yeah, it was the elephants. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like everyone is really hot on the
Right.
elephants, and they're like, "Look, we can't afford to animate direwolves. You want an elephant battle? Go watch.
Yeah.
Watch Return of the King.
Go watch Dumbo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's coming out soon. It's
Um,
probably already out. I don't know.
But I thought, yeah, all of those reconnections. I thought I didn't see Bronn's mission coming. That Cersei would give him Joffrey's fucking crossbow and task him with killing both of her brothers.
This is gonna be a tough one for him.
He's not going to do it.
No,
Come
he
on.
can't do it.
Um,
No way.
Yeah, I don't know why he would back her over the. Although I guess.
I mean, his only real reason to is that he's looking out for himself.
Yeah.
And if he really thinks that Cersei is going to win this and he's going to get rewarded for it, maybe he thinks about it. But honestly, I think the friendship that he's developed with Tyrion and Jaime are going to overwhelm any kind of reward that Cersei could offer him.
I thought his line about this fucking family when the crossbow came out, it's like, yeah, that's about right. But that's the thing, like, if he wants gold and power and all that stuff, he probably backs Cersei. If he's going to find an altruistic bone in his body, then he backs the two brothers.
Oh, there were, speaking of, this crossbow thing, I think this crossbow is perfect. I love that they brought this
It's a
back
nice
because it
pull,
not only
yeah.
stands for, like, you fucking shot our father with this.
Right.
You asshole. And now
Right.
it's going to come and it's going to kill you.
Right.
But you killed Joffrey, whose
Sure.
weapon this was.
Yeah.
Or at least, she, I don't know if she still considers, Tyrion the murderer of Joffrey or if she
Probably.
believes the Queen of Thorns thing or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked seeing the crossbow come back.
One thing that came in with the Arya and Gendry meeting is it seems that Arya wants him to build some kind of potentially a super weapon for her. Like it's some kind of spear. It's either going to be tipped with obsidian or maybe Valyrian steel, and maybe it's a telescoping one.
Maybe, or the tip comes off.
It's detachable,
Maybe,
yeah.
I
I need to. You see again that we've only seen this once.
Yeah.
So we didn't rewind or pause or anything like that. I want to do some more analysis of that scene before I guess about what it's going to be. But like that seems like a big flashing red. This is important. This is going to be a cool moment when we finally get to it. And then, man, scene of the night is the Night King doing a little bit of a collage work on the walls of the last hearth with the very young Umber heir.
dude.
It was arresting when his eyes opened in the background. It was like something out of a James Wan horror movie.
Yeah.
And then the little boy screaming and writhing as he's burning, and all the limbs are slowly catching on fire. That was a real.
I just like from the moment because I knew the reveal was coming, and we were all of us were sitting here in the studio thinking, oh shit, this is gonna be a callback to the first episode. Where the Night's King arranges the bodies of the horses
You knew it
and
was
all that
coming.
stuff. You knew it was coming, but I didn't know it was going to be this horrific.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I have not seen something this disgusting, an image this disturbing since like Human Centipede, honestly.
Well, the other thing is like when the kid reanimated, he was clearly clutching a sword, and the way Tormund had his back. I mean, that's the other cool thing about this is so many of the scenes from the trailer were from this episode,
Mm-hmm.
and I recognized that immediately. And I'm like, oh, Tormund. I had 5 seconds to process. Tormund could die right here, right now, and that's the great thing about last season of Game of Thrones. Literally,
Yeah.
anyone save maybe Janny and Donnie, John and Danny, can die at any time.
The Night King. The Night
Night
King's
King.
not just gonna up and die in
And
episode
Cersei,
1,
I guess
but yeah.
those are going to have dramatically but everyone else could essentially die from just some random fuckery, and that puts a lot of urgency. That like I said, I haven't felt that kind of urgency for a while in Game of Thrones, where it's like, oh shit, oh yeah, Tormund could die right now. How do I feel? Oh, he's not going to die. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was great. I'm super excited to see what they do in the next episode with Jon, with the big reveal about Jon.
yeah,
And him knowing now and putting Danny to the test, like
because he
what
found some things
is-
out about Danny he didn't know either. Like you
yeah,
know,
about
clearly-
burning Sam's family.
Yeah, and and John's trying to process like, hey, I've murdered, or I've executed men who disobeyed me, and I thought that was some pretty smart exchanges, and it's new information, something he has to really think about,
Yeah.
and but again, I expect to be annoyed by a lot of the late stage politics going on in the next episode, but what are you going to do? I think, again, it would be very unrealistic if all the Northerners just like, oh, yeah, Dragon Queen, come on. Yes, Queen Slay. We want you to come up. That's not who they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I'm gonna go back and watch this at least once more, probably twice. Come back on Tuesday with a full podcast.
Yeah. So this is where it's
the end of the instant take. We do a thing called the instant talk after this, which is interactive with our audience, and we get them on the line. They can ask questions and just chat about
make comments
this
and
episode, and
whatnot.
we'll respond to them.
But if you have feedback for the main podcast, please send it in to GameOfThrones@baldmove.com. There's also forum threads on forums.baldmove.com if you just want to talk with some of your fellow fans. As Jim mentioned, we'll be back this Tuesday for our full podcast for this episode, whatever it's called, episode 68 of Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And until then, we'll see you later. So are we in instant talk now?
I guess, yeah. This is instant talk.
If you so
We're talking.
if this is your first instant talk, welcome. If this is not your first instant talk, for the last, I think for every single time we've done this, Cecily, who you might know as an occasional co-host on Bald Move, has always compiled the live feedback for us, and we have her microphone up. Say hi. We tried to get her on camera, but the third camera was giving us fits, and we had to go. So next week we'll try to get her camered up. She's the disembodied voice of the instant talk moderation. I'm sure there's lots and lots of participation already.
Think of me as the Lord of Light this episode.
The Lord,
The Lord of Instant.
I think you're the three-eyed chat manager. You have all the 1,000 text boxes in one. What's our first comment / feedback / question / whatever?
Very busy chat tonight. Everyone's got something to say, not just you guys. The first one is from Daniel N. I didn't think this episode would have much action, but I wish we saw more Brienne. Curious to know y'all's thoughts on the pacing.
The thing is, like, everything that there's a lot of things that felt rushed, and the things that felt rushed are things we talked the least about because I thought they worked the least, like all the Euron, Cersei, Theon, Yara type of stuff. I thought that was so like, I'm thinking if you try to fit Brienne into there, like some kind of like, who would she be interacting with? Who would she be interacting with? Who would she be meeting? What would be the point to get her on camera other than to have her just kind of wave? Like, and I guess with the shooting schedule is probably like trying to trying to pare down the call list and everything was probably important to them. So
Yeah, everybody's in this one, right?
If she was going to be in this episode, it'd be literally as part of the caravan sequence, like welcoming or standing behind stands. Like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she was. Yeah.
So, but I'm saying like giving her a speaking part would be
I mean, Pod didn't get any time. Where's Pod?
right.
They're kind of joined at the hip.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is from Michelle. She missed the old friend line. Who do you think that Bran was referring to when he said he was waiting for an old friend?
I think it's Bran. Or I'm sorry.
Waiting for himself?
Yes, he's
I-
waiting
that-
to meet
actually,
himself.
that
in the
totally
time
sounds
stream.
right,
Yeah,
Bran.
Fucking
Bran.
I think he was talking about Sam, because they actually met long time ago, crossing the wall. So I think that's who he was referring to.
But he stayed there after he met with Sam.
But that's who he was waiting to. He's like, "What are you doing out here? I'm waiting for an old friend. Now you're here. Let's tell. Like, you need to tell John." Like, that's what I mean. That's I might feel something different if I see it again, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What do you think, Jim?
I didn't hear the question. I was fucking with the volume knobs.
So when creepy Bran was sitting out in the courtyard, and Sam went and said, "What are you doing out here?" He said, "I'm waiting for an old friend." Who was the old friend?
I wasn't paying attention to that part of the show either.
All right, there you go. So I win by default.
Tuesday, I'll come back with an answer.
Okay. Well,
Ask again. Ask again later. I'm a magic 8-ball.
It feels as though it was Jamie. Jamie was the last person to show up, and Bran and Jamie.
Oh, you're okay. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That's
that
why.
makes a lot of good sense. Yeah.
With a lot of people in that time.
Yeah. And by the way,
Yeah, we
Drogon
didn't talk
gave
about that.
Bran a run for his creepy staring money.
He sure did.
I forgot about that. The weird we
Yeah.
should do a supercut of like Drogon and
And staring back and forth.
yeah,
Yeah.
with Bran.
Chat keeps saying that I'm muted, and they can't hear me.
You're not muted. Well,
You were just about. Now you shouldn't be.
you might be muted. It's hard to tell, but it's only on the live stream. It'll be good in the audio for the podcast.
All right, just making sure, because half the people can hear me and half of them can't.
Nah.
Michelle continues. Do we get an entire season of Cersei saying, "Where are my elephants?"
Yes, we do.
Just like
That's
Dany did.
actually from here until the end of the season.
It
the end
would
of the
be
series.
funny if they did, because she was very insistent on elephants. Like, I thought it was, man, they just kept nailing that point home. We're like very disappointed. But you know, Cersei for once spoke for the viewers.
Right. Brian S says no elephants better mean more dire wolves this season.
I don't know about that. I'm not with this theory on like the dire wolves coming to magically save
Yeah.
Winterfell in the last moment. They're not going to be they're not going to be Littlefinger's Lords of the Vale coming in
Yeah.
to save John.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get much.
I just think that I don't know. I don't know why we're not getting dire wolves like
Where's Ghost?
Not enough budget always seemed weird to me, because I mean, how hard is it to fucking model a big wolf? You know?
That is a question I legitimately don't know the answer
Like
to.
I honestly so like let's say if you had like last year's scene where you had the damn undead polar bears, and you had the polar bears, and you had two of them. Like so did that cost like $8 million, and then so it's $4 million a bear, and then you had a dire wolf, it's $12 million. Like if
Oh,
it
yeah.
scales that way, then I get it, but like why the fuck would it? Like I guess it's like.
Well, I mean, you model one furry animal, you got it basically every furry animal.
Yeah,
don't
if
you?
anyone, I know we do have
You model
some
squirrels.
I know we have some fans amongst us who work in FX. I believe we have one or two that actually worked on the FX of the show.
No.
If you know like the behind the scenes like line item, like what is it like per element? Is it like per
elephant.
per is it per fucking frame? Like what is the economics of animating dire wolves?
You're asking me.
No,
No, we're ready for the next question.
Ready for the next
Come on,
question.
producer.
Okay, so here's the real question: which brother is Bronn going to kill before he dies?
Neither.
Yeah,
He can't kill either one.
Sorry, that question was from Jeremy R.
I don't think
Sorry,
I
Jeremy.
don't think Braun successfully. Everything is painting on the wall that he's going to turncoat.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to go against a dragon. He feels it high folly to go against a dragon queen and her dragons. He probably thinks it even slightly less higher folly to go after the Lannister boys, especially now that they're combined. Yeah, I just don't know why he would. Does he really think that Cersei's going to be honest with her rewards and praise this time? I mean, I guess Euron got what he wanted. Why is Euron so... I don't know. Fucking Euron, man. Whatever.
He really pressed the issue. Braun doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Yeah, Euron is just all... He just wanted to fuck a queen. So
Yeah,
it's-
Braun seems
now
more
he's
like the
done
kind of
it.
guy who just sort of takes what he gets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He gets people to make promises, but then he doesn't really press them on them.
I forgot that, or maybe they hadn't established this, that he had lost his castle and his lady and all that. I didn't. Did they establish that?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he'd
Jamie
been-
came in and basically said, you know, I've got a bigger mission for you again.
Yeah. But I didn't think it's like he actually lost that. It's more like he's going for better ones.
He is, yeah.
Okay. But now it's more like I think Cersei just said, "No, fuck you. You don't get him." But
Then why would he follow her at all?
I don't know, because that's the thing. Like that's the thing. I don't think the show's doing a very good job of convincing me that this is a very enticing offer.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, I know Bronn is a sellsword and all that, but does he really have no feelings at all?
Yeah, and don't sellswords typically? I would imagine they get paid like half up front, right? Like some kind of deposit, and then they get
don't know.
half.
I don't know the sellsword economy, how it works.
Surely,
You have a
surely they're not
sword,
just like.
You have a sword, you sell it. In the free marketplace of swords, there's a price, there's a demand, there's a supply.
Gendry's swords
there's
worth more.
unforeseen externalities, like Cersei just fucking, you know, not honoring her contract. What does that do to the sellsword market? A lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of uncertainty in the sellsword market, things are volatile. There's a lot of volatility.
I think it's time for a
chances
new
of Bronn
question.
turn cloaking increase. Yeah.
Jeremy R's final thought is that axe, the obsidian axe that Gendry made, is definitely for the Clegane Bowl, right?
Nah,
He gave it to the Hound, right?
He gave it to the Hound.
To the Hound,
Yeah.
who could use it on his undead brother.
I want a sword. I mean, I always
And
thought.
if as we're theorizing, Clegane, the mountain is like resurrected by some weird ice magic
Yeah,
the Qyburn's got, then the Dragonglass might work on him.
that's true.
Might just vanquish him.
That's
I don't
true.
know.
That feels like cheating. My Clegane Bowl has its sword on sword. So if they
Okay.
want to make my Clegane Bowl, then
Is the Hound going to get a helmet?
Because
Because the mountain has a helmet.
He has a helmet.
He does, but he hasn't worn it in ages.
You know what? Gendry needs to make him a new one. Like
Yeah.
Gendry's, he already made a bull helmet. Just make a badass hound
Hound
helmet
helmet.
again. Sure. Why not?
Make it out of Dragonglass. Telling you, that'd be sweet.
Did you do it? Yeah. Well, I mean, that's his move. He's going to. Now that we know he can smith,
Yeah.
he's totally just going to make himself some Eldritch style
be
glass
amazing.
armor.
Fragile but amazing looking.
Next interaction, please.
Josh T says, I thought it was a really strong start, and it feels like they're reminding us that the White Walkers are intelligent. Hopefully that leads somewhere, the fact that they can make these patterns on the wall. And Josh likes the way that they're handling the politics with Dany and Jon. It feels grounded. Do you agree?
I mean,
yeah.
it's this medieval like blood means a lot, and inheritance means a lot, and you know your claim that yes,
And oaths mean a lot.
oaths,
like,
yes,
Yeah.
So you know, and that's I guess I'm curious to see how Dany takes it. I don't know. I mean, we didn't even talk about there's the slick dragon riding scene. There's so much stuff that happened in this episode. I think it's they're doing a pretty good job. It's annoying to me, but I think if they did it the way that it would feel very artificial if they did it any other way than what they're doing it.
Okay. Scott wants to know, where is Ghost, and why does Bran have such a poor work-life balance?
Bran is just waiting to absorb his life essence into a tree. Like he's wanting to probably say some sick burn to Jaime Lannister.
I mean, imagine how well he could stare if his eyes were just carvings
yeah.
in a tree.
I hope Bran he opens up.
He'd
with
never
like,
have to blink.
I've seen your cock. It was the last thing I saw as a walking person. Like
Is he telling that to Theon? Like, what?
no, to Jaime. Like that's like that's his opening statement. I saw you with your dick out, and you threw me out the window.
Is this some perverse payback for shoving him
because-
out the window?
Yeah, I mean, he has the Kingslayer has certain an image to uphold that Bran might be able to puncture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it a Targaryen cock? Is that what you're saying?
it's just wizened and gnarly. It looks like
Okay,
a
it's
piece
like a weirwood
It
tree?
looks like
Yeah.
a beef jerky. Yeah. So much incest is just worn it to nothing. Next,
What are we doing?
Next
What
in-
the fuck is this?
Next interaction, please.
Did you guys? Ted T wants to know, did you guys see the plans that Arya gave Gendry? What was it? you reread backward 15 too many times. Did you guys get an idea of what that weapon was?
No.
Oh, you
yeah,
rewound. I wish we could have rewound because I thought it was like some detachable head dragon glass spear, but
maybe we should have a policy that we can have rewind, because why not?
each person watching gets one 15-second rewind.
Let's gamify it, yeah. And then whatever.
I needed it on that scene, honestly.
Yeah.
How many pauses do you get and for how long?
Just one.
One.
Each
15-second
host
pause.
gets one.
15-second pause.
It's like phoning a friend. Once you burn it, it's gone.
I'm gonna phone my mom.
Maybe we have a phone a fan. You can volunteer for phone a fan. Post your phone number on Twitter, at our Twitter. Post your actual line.
Your real
to
phone number
Twitter.
with your real
We will randomly pull
full
it
name.
and we'll call and be like 5 seconds after you see something Game of Thrones. Your phone will ring. We'll say, "What did you just see?" And hopefully you can tell us. Don't waste it.
The Ted T continues. I've always had blue eyes. #Team Torment.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite lines from the opening?
That was a good one. I feel like the most egregious miss of like a good comeback was when Arya says Jon used to be taller. He should have said you used to be shorter.
Right.
Like,
Clearly that's what's happened. Yeah.
That's great. That's a
Yeah.
perfect line, and he didn't take it. I feel like that's
liked-
the biggest miss.
I like Sansa's very dry. It had its moments.
Yes.
About
yes.
Joffrey. See what I did with the very dry. With
Driest
with the line about the purple wedding. I thought that was pretty good. That was the one that gave me the grimmest chuckle.
Yeah.
Especially just because she just killed it with the delivery. I really
That
like what
was the
Sophie
best.
Turner's doing with her Lady of Winterfell character here. Did you have a favorite line?
That was it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Next interaction, please.
Sorry, Ted T continues. Last thing he has to say is that the Night King is one hell of an interior decorator.
He is.
Welcome home, y'all. He feels like that wall art was a tripwire because once he started screaming, it activates a hive mind, so they know that the
Yeah. Well, and I didn't. Yeah, I guess. Like, I know, because I don't think the Night King needs that. But I do think it's weird because they established that the Night King's between them, and they're like, well, maybe if we ride horses, we can go faster because they're an army on foot, and we're not. But then again, why doesn't the Night King just peel off and burn him to death so they get zero warning? But yeah,
I guess I didn't read that into it.
yeah, it's more of just I don't know. It's just a sick shot, honestly. And you got to have a way to get the people from the wall down to Winterfell, and we kind of wonder about it. And it's a nice scene. It's a great little expository travel scene, is what all it was. And it's a pretty great one for what it was.
Dave L says, I need Aaron to do his brand voice.
Which one? I think I've given 3 different accents.
He's also bummed out that there was no more
I'm waiting.
reunion.
I'm a creepy boy, and I'm waiting for my old friend. I've seen his cock. I don't know.
So you can do the brand
I feel like I
stare
did a
at the same
4th
time.
accent now. Yeah, Jim's got the
just-
stare down. That's worth paying for premium by itself.
No Mormont reunion. No Jorah and Lady Mormont. The young Lady Mormont.
No.
Yeah, that's could have been.
They're in the same place.
Yeah.
I wonder what she would say about him,
If Jorah just stood up,
especially
and
without his family sword.
be like, "Shut up, Lyanna," and she's like, "You're a slaver. What do you know, old man? Are you even a Mormont now?" You should
I
have
did
taken
like
it
how
back.
the Umber kid
Mm-hmm.
was just like a kid.
Oh yeah.
They really had him, sort of fumbling and figuring his way through this interaction with the queen and
When they
the
called
king
Lord Umber,
and the lady.
when they called Lord Umber, I was really hoping that we'd see the Great John, but we didn't. So just the North is in pretty bad shape. Maybe Lord Glover's got the right idea. He's just
Didn't they
gonna stay
chop his
behind.
head? Whose head did John chop?
That was Karstark.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought the Great John made up, but it could have been addressed in a line of dialogue like 3 seasons ago. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Great John. Great John, Small John totally bit it.
Yeah, got dysentery, shit himself to death.
Because in the books he survived. I think he even survived the Red Wedding. But anyway, next interaction.
Josh D says, it seems like Cersei's definitely not pregnant, but maybe she had sex with Euron because she wants to be.
It's a good question. She's drinking. I don't know how much they know in Westeros about.
I've seen Mad Men.
fetal
I
alcohol
know
syndrome.
pregnant women were drinking as little as 40 years
Okay,
ago.
well, so if that means nothing,
One glass of red wine is fine.
What I heard,
She had more than one
yeah,
glass.
I think some
Come
women
on.
heard more than one bottle.
After fucking Euron, she's got to have more than one glass.
But if there was always something in the glass, it's just one, right?
yes,
That's true.
right?
That's true if the glass is bottomless.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my biggest question coming out of this episode, I think. Aside from like, how is John going to handle this? I'm actually the king of the world scenario. Is what does that look from Cersei at the end? Because she's clearly about to break down, like crying about this idea that Euron might put a prince in her belly. But does that mean that one is there and she's remembering, you know, the shit that Jaime, you know, abandoned her because oh, she's got this kid who's Jaime's inside her, and that's just a reminder that she doesn't have Jaime by her side anymore? Or is it more like, I tried to manipulate Jaime into doing what I wanted, I tricked Tyrion, but I lost Jaime, and now, like, I might win this war, but I don't know. There's a lot of complicated stuff around this idea that Cersei is pregnant, and I'm not sure if it's actually true yet.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's the biggest question mark. One of the biggest question marks from even last season. And if you remember, if you listen to our spoiler segments of late last season, there was even some, you know, kind of like behind the scenes wondering about her pregnancy that don't want to really go into on a non-spoiler edition. But I don't know. It feels like that they've left themselves a lot of flexibility to do whatever they want with that.
Mm-hmm.
Kid Gabe says, I think Dany might end up in an insane asylum yelling at everyone that they need to bend the knee.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I guess I expected it from the Northerners to be very distrustful. And the way it felt like John prepared Dany for what kind of reception, I kind of was disappointed that she couldn't do more than just, you know, your sister doesn't like me. She's got to say, well, if she doesn't respect me, I'm going to, I don't know. Like, it's like, she could have been a little bit more generous in the whole, like, what do dragons eat? Whatever they want. Like, okay, well, that's fucking helpful.
I don't
Great.
think she's internalized this idea that they have an inherent resistance to her.
Yeah.
Because she's not a Northerner.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, are the dragons not eating because there's not enough food, or are the dragons grieving their dragon brother?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
They lost the triad there,
Yeah.
one third of that, and now, yeah, they're a little bummed.
I mean, 18 goats and like 11 sheep could feed a lot of people too. I mean, Sansa doesn't have no point that the world's largest army and the world's largest dragons eat a fuck ton of food.
How many?
And they weren't exactly set.
How many soldiers would you trade for one dragon? Like, if you had dragons and said, okay.
I mean, all of them. Like, that's like asking, like, if I was any nation
Right.
state today and you like, would you trade all your, and I don't have a nuke, and you trade all your armies for nuke? Absolutely. Because
Right.
once you have nukes, it's a whole different ball game. So yeah, I'd trade.
Yeah, so like, you going to feed those 18 goats to like 55 Unsullied, or are you going to
Sure.
feed those 18 goats to your one dragon?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not money well spent. I'm just saying that, like, as Northerners who might be starving because the dragons are full, it's another thing that could cause a division for one episode.
Maybe they
only.
ate all the dire wolves.
I mean, this other thing is like this like the, you know, just knowing the mechanics of the season, like this squabbling can happen about one more episode, and then we'll be plunged in all-out war. And then it's like, you know, if you want to argue about who's going to have full bellies in the morning, then great.
Take it up with the Night King.
Yeah, exactly. He has a comprehensive healthcare program. You'll never have to worry about being hungry again.
Mm-hmm.
All you gotta do, you get sweet blue eyes. Like,
You may not even have a belly.
right?
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's one of those, you know, if you get your, totally. If you're one of those skeleton dudes, you don't got a belly.
Yeah. No use for one, certainly.
Next, Q.
Stephen S. says, Aaron, since you wrote a book on religion, is the view that now that people know Ned didn't have a bastard, he gets infinite honor points in the afterlife?
I mean, I think if the afterlife works the way I thought it did, like, it should be that, you know, I mean, what's like the old gods got him in old god hell until Bran finds out that he actually didn't besmirch his honor.
Because the gods didn't know.
Right, because the gods didn't know. It's like, look, Ned, you know, you really disappointed us when you were on Planetos, and now we got you in our old god hell, and we're not letting you out because you fucked some other man. Like, I don't think it works that way, no.
Yeah, Ned's up there pointing. See, I told you.
As a man who has studied the religions of Westeros intimately, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not how the old gods work. I don't think the old gods give a fuck one way or another. They seem to be more into having blood spilled underneath their trees and entrails spread in their branches than they are about corporeal notions of morality.
Aaron M. wants to know, do you guys think the survive the Battle of Winterfell?
I mean, as I said in the preview podcast, I think the odds of the dragon surviving the whole shooting match are very low. But that's only because I'm
Because it's a
playing
disruptor.
I'm playing the geopolitics afterwards, and I'm like, that's just such a a huge advantage, and I don't know. Maybe that's the bittersweet part. All of the people we love die, but the dragons mate, and there's baby dragons.
Yeah, I feel like that's a hard one to predict from like a, narrative storytelling perspective. Because like, I could see a future where the dragons survive and Dany's just all powerful.
Right.
Or I could see a future where the dragons don't survive and she's got to play a little more of the politics game. But either way,
yeah. Plus, Martin's kind
I don't
of
know.
had the expectation that he's going to have all these answers. That he's not going to do because that was the thing that he's talked the most shit about J.R.R. Tolkien is that like, oh well, you just and Aragorn's king and that's it, huh? Oh well, what's the tax rate? What'd you do with all the non-combatant orcs? Did you round them up and kill them? Even like, okay, well, I wanted to see your math, old man. I want to know what's Dany's tax policy. What did they do with all those? Was there a couple of whites that weren't bad guys, and could they, be gainfully employed after the Night King dies? What do you do with the dragons? What if she engages in a dragon breeding program? How do you control dragon proliferation? Like I don't know how much he's going to sweat those details after decrying J.R.R. Tolkien doing the same kind of breezing over those himself.
Rochelle wants to know how on earth does one forge dragon glass?
Melt it.
I mean,
Melt it, get
I
it
guess
real
you wouldn't
hot.
call it forging, would you? It would be just because forging isn't forging like the actual process of making the metal and beating it into shape, and this is casting. It's casting.
Okay, yeah, it's casting.
They're casting glass.
Yeah.
But it's a glass. It is still just glass. I mean,
Coach wants to know, do you think John believes Sam, or will he need something or someone else like Bran to confirm?
The look on his face says, I believe you.
right.
And this is blowing my fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a hugely consequential thing.
Yeah. And John, because what they're talking is treason. It's saying that the queen isn't the real queen. That's the definition. That's the old school definition of treason. So
Yeah.
Sam needs to get his Guy Fawkes mask out and get 50 barrels of gunpowder, stuff them full of dragon glass, and let them off right underneath Dany's throne.
Glaucoma wants to know, do you think we will see Varys' reaction to finding out about Littlefinger?
Ooh.
Oh, I would like to. I certainly hope we
Man,
do.
this would have been the episode, though, to find
Yeah.
out, like, for him to have some kind of dry remark about, see how his wits in his cock.
Who would he find it out from? Who would be the most, like, delicious person for him to find it out from?
I don't know. I don't know, because you're right. Who would run up and say, Varys, guess what?
Yeah, he doesn't really know anybody here other than Tyrion.
We need a Winterfell newspaper. So, like, there's like a little kid with like a whole bundle of them, and he's got a fresh extra. King of the North
maybe.
comes back, not even a king. And like, Varys grabs the paper, throws him 2 coppers, and like, shakes it out, and is like, gets the page forward. It's like Littlefinger dead. Wagga wagga. I don't know.
And it's just a sketch of Littlefinger with all these like arms and legs like spiraled around.
Yeah. All of his fingers arrayed.
Right.
Joss W thinks that maybe they're not telling anyone that Littlefinger.
Glitterfinger.
Littlefinger.
Glitterfinger.
Glitterfinger. Sounds like a Batman villain.
Or Austin Powers.
Yeah.
So that Arya can wear his face at some point.
Ooh, I think that shows a lot of foresight for literally every person that saw that event happen.
Would it be fun to see?
You got the dumbest, drunkest northerner in that hall has to keep that secret.
That's true.
And there's some
That's true.
dumb and drunk northerners in that hall.
Yeah. The least of which is Lady Mormont.
Yes.
She is very drunk.
Right. Not to say nothing about the Vale, the Knights of the Vale.
Would it be cool to see an Arya as Littlefinger scene with Varys?
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool.
I don't know why we would get one, but
I wonder if Varys could pay her money just to put on his mask and him just get the better of him over and over again and every because Arya's not very good
Spar
at
with
the wordplay.
words.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he just like just verbally destroys her every time. It's like, I feel so good. Very therapeutic.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got tonight.
All right, cool.
We will watch this a bunch more, read about it, get your guys' feedback compiled. We'll be back.
If anyone has any other feedback, send it to GameOfThrones@baldmove.com.
Yep.
You can talk with your fellow fans at forums.baldmove.com. Next podcast out on Tuesday.
Sorry
Yeah.
we didn't have like our disembodied feedback coordinator was more disembodied than we thought. Apparently, her voice wasn't coming through on the live thing. So we'll get that fixed for next week. Apologies for this week, but we'll be back next week with the even better, more refined studio and some more fine interactions with you people. Have a great night. Welcome back to Game of Thrones. We'll see you Tuesday.